Welcome to part 2 of my Obi-Wan Kenobi character analysis. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, then I highly encourage you to do so. I'll throw up the title card and place a link in the description to it. In today's video, I'll continue my case for Obi-Wan as the greatest Star Wars character. So without further ado, let's get into it. At the start of Attack of the Clones, the Jedi as a whole are shown to be deeply involved in politics, represented by not only the Council meeting with the Chancellor in his office, but with those like Obi-Wan being used again as ambassadors to settle affairs across the galaxy.
He's just returned from a border dispute on Ancion.
Obi-Wan, along with all the other Jedi, will soon have their ideals challenged, as Mace claims,
"We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers."
but Palpatine plans on pushing this to see how far they will go and what he can make them do, using Obi-Wan as his pawn.
May I suggest the Senator be placed under the protection of your graces? Perhaps someone you're familiar with. An old friend like Master Kenobi.
Obi-Wan's name was not only selected because of his ties to Padme, but more importantly, because with Obi-Wan comes Anakin, and Palpatine is willing to use him to set his plan in motion. And upon their return, we get a glimpse into the relationship that has been forged between Obi-Wan and Anakin, as it's been a decade since they become master and apprentice.
You seem a little on edge.
Not at all.
I haven't felt you this tense since we fell into that nest of Gundarks.
Obi-Wan shows that not only can he recognize the tension and conflict in his apprentice, but he does so in a way that would allow his apprentice to open up to him by using a bit of humor calling back to an adventure of theirs. When he realizes that his first tactic doesn't work, he adapts and goes for a more direct approach, letting Anakin know that everything will be fine. Once he does this, then Anakin shows vulnerability and expresses what's bothering him.
You're sweating. Relax. Take a deep breath.
I haven't seen her in 10 years, Master.
While Obi-Wan has thoroughly trained Anakin in the Jedi arts and the way of the Force, it's a failing on Obi-Wan that in these 10 years, he hasn't taught Anakin an ounce of game.
My goodness, you've grown.
So have you. Grown more beautiful, I mean. Well, for a senator, I mean.
And he'll always be that little boy I knew on Tatooine.
We can't all be great at everything, but I digress. It's in this scene that the differing views and underlying tension between Obi-Wan and Anakin is put on full display, as Obi-Wan chooses to strictly comply with the words of the Council.
We're here to protect you, Senator, not to start an investigation.
We will find out who's trying to kill you, Padme. I promise you.
This implying that Obi-Wan and the Council are only willing to do the bare minimum for Padme, whereas Anakin believes that if peace is to truly be achieved, more action should be taken.
We will not exceed our mandate, my young Padawan learner.
I meant it in the interest of protecting her, Master, of course.
We will not go through this exercise again, Anakin. And you will pay attention to my lead.
It's reaffirmed here that Obi-Wan only plans to play by the book, and more importantly, we see Obi-Wan put in a situation where he must deal with insubordination from his apprentice, one of the many challenges he must now face in the role of a master.
Why?
What?
Why else do you think we were assigned to her if not to find the killer? Protection is a job for local security, not Jedi. It's overkill, Master. Investigation is implied in our mandate.
We will do exactly as the Council has instructed. And you will learn your place, young one.
While Obi-Wan gets Anakin to quit retaliating, he fails to let his apprentice have a voice, forgetting to put himself in his shoes, as he was once a young apprentice that would openly question his own master's choices. Obi-Wan's decision to shut Anakin down would give relevance to Anakin's complaints later in the film.
He's overly critical. He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair.
This being a reminder that communication is key to building the foundation to any strong relationship. Speaking of relationships, Obi-Wan is faced with the task of counseling Anakin on his relationship with his mother and the concern he has for her well-being.
You look tired.
I don't sleep well anymore.
Because of your mother?
Obi-Wan already knows what ails Anakin, which is half the challenge. The real challenge is in giving him the advice that he needs, as he knows that Anakin can be quick to assume the worst in most scenarios.
You're focusing on the negative, Anakin. Be mindful of your thoughts. She was pleased to see us.
So to balance this, Obi-Wan typically chooses to instead see the silver lining.
I don't know why I keep dreaming about her.
Dreams pass in time.
Although, this brings up another attachment Anakin possesses that Obi-Wan must deal with in Padme.
I'd much rather dream about Padme. Just being around her again is intoxicating.
Be mindful of your thoughts, Anakin. They betray you. You've made a commitment to the Jedi Order, a commitment not easily broken. And don't forget, she's a politician and they're not to be trusted.
While Obi-Wan is right in reminding Anakin to be mindful, he does so in a way that fails to connect with Anakin, as the conversation from then on turns into a lecture.
It's not another lecture, at least not on the economics of politics.
Where the conversation initially started as a moment of vulnerability with Anakin choosing to open up to his mentor. This, along with Obi-Wan's tendency to stereotype and compartmentalize people, especially politicians, into boxes, is an approach that lacks too much emotion for Anakin's taste.
And besides, you're generalizing. The Chancellor doesn't appear to be corrupt.
Palpatine is a politician.
I have observed that he is very clever in following the passions and prejudices of the senators.
I think he's a good man.
Here we see that Obi-Wan and Anakin have contrasting approaches to judging others, as one is guided by feeling, and the other tends to disregard them. In Anakin's case, this allows him to see the good in Padme and look beyond the label of being just another politician, although this comes at the cost of being blinded by the self-interested nature of Palpatine. As for Obi-Wan, he can more easily disassociate himself from any relationship he may have with Palpatine, as he chooses to strictly analyze his actions as a Chancellor and ensures to keep him at an arm's distance. Although this comes at the price of being unable to separate Padme from her job title, as he's quick to stereotype her rather than see her as a person first. This overall being a reminder that balance is key. It's during and leading into the second assassination attempt on Padme's life that the tension between Obi-Wan and Anakin is further highlighted, this coming from how critical Obi-Wan can be of his apprentice.
Trust me.
It's too risky. Besides, your senses aren't that attuned to my young apprentice.
And yours are.
Possibly.
That never gets old. Obi-Wan's critical nature stems from his inability to fully trust Anakin, not showing enough confidence in his ability to handle the situation on his own, which is why he takes matters headfirst into his own hands. Just kidding. While jumping out of a window is a bit reckless, it shows that Anakin is not the only impulsive one in the relationship, but more so for Obi-Wan. While he may echo the words of the Council, when he was given a split second to make a choice, he chose to do what he felt was right, to take action in fighting Padme's killer. And in the action that ensues, Obi-Wan never misses out on an opportunity to humble his young apprentice.
You spent as much time practicing your saber techniques as you do your wit you would rival Master Yoda as a swordsman.
I thought I already did.
Only in your mind, my very young apprentice.
While it is necessary to humble Anakin to subdue his arrogance, at the rate Obi-Wan is doing it, it only encourages Anakin to further prove his master wrong, which is why he constantly seems to make the same mistakes over and over again, even though Obi-Wan has advised him countless times to be more cautious.
Anakin! How many times have I told you? Stay away from hard couplings!
I hate it when he does that.
You know I don't like it when you do that.
Sorry, Master. I forgot you don't like flying.
I don't mind flying, but what you're doing is suicide.
This, of course, leading to Anakin's disobedience, which almost cost them their lead.
Where are you going? He went that way.
Master, if we keep this chase going any longer, that creep is gonna end up deep fried. Personally, I'd very much like to find out who he is and who he's working for. This is a shortcut, I think.
That was some shortcut, Anakin. He went completely the other way.
Fortunately for Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're able to track the bounty hunter to the club, which Obi-Wan utilizes as a teaching moment.
Patience. Use the Force. Think.
Sorry, Master.
You went in there to hide, not to run.
Yes, Master.
Next time, try not to lose it.
Yes, Master.
This weapon is your life.
I try, Master.
While Anakin clearly just wants to pursue the chase and end things as quickly as possible, Obi-Wan reminds him to be patient, flipping his perspective and looking at the scenario from an advantageous standpoint. Because they have the bounty hunter cornered, the opportunity will eventually present itself, so there's no need to rush, as further impulsive actions will just lead to more chaos. Obi-Wan also emphasizes the importance of his lightsaber, as not only is it the weapon that can physically defend him in a life or death situation, but more importantly, it's what the weapon stands for, as the lightsaber can be seen as a symbol of a Jedi's deep commitment to the Force, and their overall focus on being a guardian of peace.
The Jedi must have the deepest commitment, the most serious mind. You are reckless.
While Yoda tells this to Luke, the idea applies to his father as well, as his hasty actions are a cause for concern to his master.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Don't say that, Master. You're the closest thing I have to a father.
Then why don't you listen to me?
I am trying.
This, of course, foreshadowing Obi-Wan's fate, as well as highlighting the idea that while Anakin may not always follow instruction, he does genuinely care for Obi-Wan beyond being just his master, but as his family as well.
Go and find her.
Where are you going, Master? For a drink.
Obi-Wan here goes on to prove that he can drink on the job and still get things done, and he does so effectively that not only does he catch their assassin, but he also brings positive change to another stranger's life.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Unfortunately for Obi-Wan and Anakin, while they catch their assassin, they're now only left with the toxic dart as a clue to who is behind this plot. What's important about this is that it directly leads to the parting of master and apprentice, as they must go on their own separate adventures.
Track down this bounty hunter, you must, Obi-Wan.
Most importantly, find out who he's working for.
What about Senator Amidala? She will still need protecting.
Handle that. Your Padawan will.
With this being the first time that the two are split up from each other for an extended period of time, Obi-Wan's work to this point as a master will be truly tested, as Anakin must operate on his own for the first time. And it's only fitting that leading into Anakin's mission, we see the contrasting dialogue from Anakin's two mentor figures, where Palpatine only has encouraging words, highlighting Anakin's unlimited potential. Obi-Wan simply expresses the concern that comes with that potential.
In time, you will learn to trust your feelings. Then you will be invincible. I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi, Anakin. Even more powerful than Master Yoda.
I am concerned for my Padawan. He is not ready to be given this assignment on his own yet, but he still has much to learn, Master. His abilities have made him, well, arrogant.
Obi-Wan is let down by the Council here as its leading members fail to take his concerns with more caution, as they remain confident in their decision, even though Obi-Wan knows Anakin better than virtually anyone, with Obi-Wan understanding that placing him on this assignment may bode for more serious consequences than they can imagine.
Remember, Obi-Wan, if the prophecy is true, your apprentice is the only one who can bring the Force back into balance.
Yet again, we're reminded of the immense pressure that has been bestowed upon not only Anakin, but Obi-Wan as the master of the Chosen One. What makes matters even more difficult is that Anakin is his first student, so all his mistakes with him will show even more so, as in many ways Obi-Wan is still learning to be a teacher. And it's through Anakin that we see both the good and the bad of Obi-Wan's teachings.
Don't get me wrong. Obi-Wan is a great mentor. As wise as Master Yoda and as powerful as Master Windu. I am truly thankful to be his apprentice.
He's overly critical. He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair.
For Obi-Wan, Anakin's perception of him is crucial, as it's one of the most important parts of being a mentor, the ability to inspire your pupil. But unfortunately in this case, Obi-Wan is seen as more of an obstacle rather than a guide along Anakin's journey.
All mentors have a way of seeing more of our faults than we would like. It's the only way we grow.
Obi-Wan's challenge is to find a balance between finding Anakin's faults and still motivating him to stay along the correct path and properly grow as a person, as currently he can come across as strict and overbearing to Anakin.
Anakin, don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council.
Yes, Master.
This stringency stemming from a lack of trust, knowing how stubborn and impulsive his apprentice can be, something Anakin shares with Padme.
I do hope he doesn't try anything foolish.
I'd be more concerned about her doing something than him.
And so, Obi-Wan's investigation begins, and when he gets stuck, he pays an old friend a visit for their insight.
What you got here is a Camino saber dart.
I wonder why it didn't show up in the analysis archives.
Obi-Wan's initial approach shows how the Jedi have become more reliant on the technology they have to answer their questions, to the point that it hinders their ability to see things for what they are, or even could be, a point that's then articulated well by Dexter Jettster.
I should think that you Jedi would have more respect for the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Dexter makes a solid point about one of the many flaws of the Jedi of the Republic era, as they seem to be more concerned with obtaining knowledge over wisdom. To put it simply, knowledge can be seen as the amount of stuff that we know. It's just information. Whereas wisdom is how we use what we know. It can be seen as the form of utilizing experience, this allowing us to see the difference between a truth and a lie, or make a choice between right and wrong. The Jedi's reliance on things such as droids is a microcosm of how the Jedi rely on knowledge alone. Although what makes Obi-Wan special is his wisdom to search for the truth in other ways, which is why he's willing to seek out help by other means, by a friend of his in Dexter, as he obtains wisdom that can't be found in a droid due to his experiences. One of the things that make people so different from machines, as we're a makeup of our experiences.
Well, if droids could think, there'd be none of us here, would there?
A prime example of how the Jedi have become more like machines can be found in Jocasta Nu, who proves to be useless to Obi-Wan in his investigation.
I hate to say it, but it looks like the system you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
Obi-Wan shows that he's willing to ask the simple question, what if? Reminiscent of his master in Qui-Gon, as he's more willing to be an individual thinker. It's because of this that he continues his search for answers rather than accepting defeat and turns to Yoda for his intuition.
I'm looking for a planet described to me by an old friend. I trust him, but the systems don't show in the archive maps.
Lost a planet, Master Obi-Wan has. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. A thought?
Because someone erased it from the archive memory.
It's here that Obi-Wan ironically gets a better answer to his question from a youngling, rather than the older master in Jocasta Nu, showing how with age can come stubbornness and an unwillingness to open your mind to all possibilities. And the fact that Obi-Wan and Yoda are willing to take the youngling's advice shows how not only do they truly value everyone's opinion, but how in actions like these, they become wiser than the average Jedi, and they'll need all the wisdom they can get as the mystery only thickens from this point on.
Who could empty information from the archives? That's impossible, isn't it?
Dangerous and disturbing this puzzle is. Only a Jedi could have erased those files. But who and why? Harder to answer.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, so if you enjoyed it too, then I highly suggest liking the video. And if you want to see more like it, then definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when part 3 comes out, then hit the bell for notifications. Or consider checking out my Patreon, where I'll be uploading videos there significantly sooner than on YouTube. So part 3 should be there available as I speak, and the same will apply to the next parts when they come out. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Your support means everything to me. And thank you to everyone who watches, I truly appreciate it. And finally, let me know in the comments which Star Wars character is the best teacher and why. And who knows, they might be in the next one. Until next time, you don't want to sell me any death sticks, and you'll want to go home and rethink your life.